Morning, gentlemen. At least it's morning for me. Check out this little mug I got. I can't drink too much coffee, so I do a little baby mug. I got this one from Japan. All right. Mark chapter 8. That's where we're at. Oh, sorry. Don't lose the video. Sorry about that. Okay, Mark chapter 8. That's where we're at. Before we even read it, I want to remind you that we got a men's dinner coming up, and we got a few more tables left. So if you got friends you want to invite, coworkers, neighbors, whatever, bring them. It's gonna be amazing. I had lunch with Bobby this last Thursday, and the dude's a stud. So you're gonna love it. I'm gonna love it. It's gonna be awesome. So mark your calendars, November 14th. Okay. Here we go, Mark chapter 8. I'm gonna spend a couple of weeks in Mark chapter 8. Next week when we meet in person, I'm gonna be in Mark chapter 8. This week, I'm gonna do the end, and then next week we're gonna go back up probably to the earlier section. But here we go. Mark chapter 8, starting at verse 34. Then he, being Jesus, called the crowd to him along with his disciples. So everyone's gathered around. And he said, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me and for the gospel will save it. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world and yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? If anyone is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, the Son of Man will be ashamed of them when he comes in his Father's glory with the holy angels." Difficult teaching from Jesus, often not one you hear in Sunday services. I think people I kind of grew up in a seeker sensitive church. Some of you did too. More like a attractional church, like to the outsider who's not the Christian. And like generally what they do, they'll teach less kind of difficult passages, and they'll do more of like self-helpy kind of stuff. The problem is that, the problem is people want to, in my mind, people want to experience Jesus. And you don't get the real life transformation, like what Jesus says. You don't get to save your life if you don't fully lose your life. And so we avoid these passages, and then we get people who are like half-baked Christians, and they're coming out of our churches, and they're not representing the name of Jesus well. It's bad news, man. So we got to teach hard passages because they matter and because they actually lead to life transformation. But here, I'll open with a story, and I'm sure many of you guys can relate to this. I got married last year. I got married in July, and I realized within a week of being married that my life was not my own. Why didn't anyone tell me? No, I'm just kidding. Of course I knew that. Of course I knew this. But actually, what's crazy is, and you guys can relate to this, it's like it is the number one lesson that I learned for the first year, and that I will probably continue to learn for the rest of my life. And I'm sure some of you guys are laughing right now because you're married and you've been married for 20 plus years, and you're literally sitting in your chair, maybe watching with your guys or watching at home or whatever, and you're laughing right now because you're like, someone should have told this guy this was going to happen. But it's like, I knew that, right? I knew that, but you don't know the extent of it until you actually get married. You cannot explain it to someone. And then I was telling this story to someone recently. I was saying, hey, I'm his, I'm the Father's, I'm God the Father's, right? And then I am hers. And then I can have some freedom and make some decisions. And then I was telling that to someone, and they said, "Just wait till your son comes out. Then you're really gonna understand what it's like." I got a couple of my buddies who have had babies, having babies. We're having one, right? So all my friends are kind of in that life stage. My close friends, at least. And it's pretty wild. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Newborns are, hey, shout out to all you guys who did it multiple times. Anyone who's had more than 2, here's to you, and here's to your wife. Anyway, okay. The point is this. Like, it is so difficult to break the instinct in each one of us, which is selfishness, self-pleasing, self-rewarding behaviors. Like, it is like, and especially because when you, like how I was, like I became, when I moved out of my parents' house, 21 or something, I don't even know how old I was, 20 maybe? I don't even know. I moved out of my parents' house, and it was like freedom, right? Like I could do whatever I want. And my parents really didn't restrict me after I turned 18 or after I graduated high school anyway. But it's like I could do whatever I wanted to. I could go out, I could be out. It's like, seriously, it's like if I didn't want to, like, if I wanted to go out, I could stay out. Not like date girls here and there, but then eventually I was just like, I'm not dating anyone anymore. I'm gonna single it out for like, until I find like the one I'm gonna marry. Like, so then I had this, like, I did exactly what I wanted to do. And then when I met Ashton, we dated and we got married, it's like, oh, my whole life switched. Now, obviously, this is the best thing ever. Like, the best thing ever for me is literally like laying down my life for my wife, like it says in Ephesians, and caring for her and placing her above myself. And the reason why is because it's making me a better man. It literally is. And so what Jesus says is this, like, on top of that, like, which we all experience with marriage, or a lot of us experience with marriage, it's this, like, it's actually a step further for him. It's literally, you must deny yourself if you want to follow him. All of your selfish desires, your sensual desires, your self-pleasing desires. And the reason why is because you want to save your life. You don't want to lose your life. You'll lose your soul if you don't do this thing. And so what does that look like practically? I mean, I think it looks like this, like, just an experience I had recently. It's like, we were at a play. So a friend of mine is on a Broadway tour, and we were at this play, and it's like, you got a lineup of like me and like my close friends. So we're like being loud and like excited for our friend who's in the play, who's a lead, right? And we're like so excited. And this woman in front of us just like turns around, she's like, shh. She just shushes us. And I was like, what the heck is going on? And like, you know, we're sitting there and we got a range of different emotions. I'm kind of like staying quiet. Someone turns around and, how about you, shh? And I was like, uh-oh. So then it kind of like a little like tiff broke out there, and I was like, this is kind of a mess. So I kind of like pause, wait for the end of the movie, intermission comes, and a friend of mine leans over and like taps the woman on her shoulder, and is like, because he's so excited because it's our friend he's like got a full tap routine, right? And he's dancing on stage. It's a huge moment for him. So he wants to tap his friend, or tap this woman in front of him, and be like, that's my friend. So he does it. He taps the woman on the shoulder. And she turns around and she says, don't touch me. Get your hands off me. And then her like friend licks back and is like, you guys need to relax and just stop talking to us. Like super aggressive. And I remember just being like, you know when you just have that like, that well up of just like, man, I just want to lean over to this woman and just say, you are a bitter woman. Like that's what I wanted to say. I just wanted to like I had other thoughts and words too, but it was just like, I just want to like just let it sting. And I just sat there and I was like, oh my gosh, like it is taking so much of me to do what Jesus says right here, which is deny myself, deny the thing that I want to do, and listen to the teachings of Jesus, which is like, turn the other cheek. Just move on. Actually, instead, I should be kind to her and compassionate and literally dump kindness on top of her in the way that she's treating me and behaving. It's like those moments where, like that moment of like someone just pisses you off. It's like, you gotta like follow the teachings of Jesus. Or it's like, you know, you're watching a show and some inappropriate stuff comes on, it's like, don't let it ride. Like, move on. Next scene. Like, it's these little moments where you're constantly denying yourself, and so that you gain your life back. Because what Jesus is saying here is this. He's basically saying this, like even though it is your first desire to do whatever you want selfishly and take care of yourself, he actually is leading on to something different, another thing here, which is there is a deeper desire than even that one. Like your first instinct to take care of yourself, that is not your deepest desire. Really, your deepest desire is to know God and enjoy him forever, right? That's your deepest desire. And so what he's saying is like, but like anything good, it doesn't just come. It doesn't just like exist in your life. Instead, it's something that you have to like dig for deep inside of your body and your soul and your mind. And so what he's saying is like, you have to constantly be fighting against the flesh, the body, you know, the human nature, and constantly be digging in and seeking out the spirit, right? And then at the end, he just kind of hits a haunting line. If anyone is ashamed of me in my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, the Son of Man will be ashamed of them when he comes in glory. And so he ends with a warning here. And the warning is this, like, we are adulterous we're adulterous in the way that we believe, in the way that we trust God. One day we wake up and say, I want to trust Jesus, and I'm going to do everything I can to like submit to his way, his will, his way, right? His life. And the next day or the next hour, it's like, oh, but like, I think I'm just going to drink a little bit too much. Or, oh, I think I'm just going to like, look at that girl for too long. Or it's like, oh, I'm just going to like, it's like, whatever. You just like, we're so fickle. We're so back and forth. And he's saying like, whatever you do, don't be ashamed of this. Like if someone comes up to you, don't renounce me. Don't do that. Like there's room for your humanness. Like there's room for me to like work on you and develop you and grow you and make you more to the image of Christ. But don't like just deny me. Because if you deny me, I'll deny you. That's it. So anyway, here's the main point. There is a better life for every single one of us. There's a better life. And it involves denying yourself. It involves removing yourself from the top of priorities in your life. And it involves replacing yourself or replacing your job or replacing your wife or replacing your kids, replacing them with the person of Jesus. You replace every single person with Jesus, and all things will benefit from that. All right. I love you guys. Men's dinner. See you soon. See ya.